What conspiracy theory do you believe is 100% true? Scientology killed Isaac Hayes. Crazy celebrity baby names are just professional names. Their real names are much more typical and kept secret so they can have a normal life. BuzzFeed uses AskReddit to ask the same question when they're struggling for topics to write about for an article they've done 100 times already. New Coke in the 80s was invented to cleanse our palates and allow the original formula Coke switch from cane sugar to cheaper corn syrup without the general population knowing. New Coke was super sweet, and by the time classic Coke came back, now with corn syrup, no one could tell the difference between the original and classic. Go-gurt is just yogurt. All the candy corn in the world was made in 1965, and we've been selling off the original supply ever since. What is that one thing that you have invested thousands of hours working on it and now it's useless? My degree in education, when I realized on my first day of teaching that I picked the wrong major. I spent months creating an intelligent ripper that recorded betting markets in real time while avoiding their anti-scraper eye. Running the 24th of July 365. Resuming from outages and rate limits. I did it because I had a theory that there was a way to make money on those markets. Betfair et al. Without accurately predicting the underlying bet. But I need a large sample size to prove it before investing real money on the theory. Those companies have APIs. But I was too broke to pay for one. Not sure if thousands, but certainly hundreds and hundreds. It was the main thing I did with my life for months and months. Anyway, I did it. Put the dataset together. Turns out I was wrong. There's no money to be made. I practiced piano for hours every day for 15 plus years. Performed in multiple countries. Originally went to college for it. Hooray arthritis. In the beginnings of the internet, I spent an insane amount of time creating a very comprehensive website on cats. History, breeds, genetics, care, everything. It was very extensive with a lot of info that was often referenced in cat forums or other cat sites. Especially the breeds and the genetic sections. Stupidly, it was located on one of those free domain hosting sites. And for some reason the original files on my computer were lost. However, after a few years of being up, a continuous project in work, I got an email from the free domain provider. I don't remember which it was. Maybe Lycos or Tripod or Angelfire. No idea. That they were very sorry. But due to some whatever problems they experienced, all websites that started with the letters A to G, or K or M, were accidentally erased from the server. That was it. All irretrievably gone. Edit. Thanks a lot to everyone for the tip to look on the Wayback Machine. Archive.org. https://archive.org. *. I had looked there previously. But no trace. It really, truly vanished. *. It is probably good that Reddit doesn't have a running counter of how many hours I've been staring at this thing. I spent months developing a DHEAS radioimmunoassay with the intent on using it on lemur blood samples. Ran it unmodified few times and found nothing. Spent the next few months modifying it to increase sensitivity something like 20x, thinking I had messed things up in the initial development. Still found nothing. Managed to find some additional samples from other primates. Everything ran off scale high. Turns out lemurs appear to differ from other primates in terms of their adrenal androgens. They don't really have any. Interesting finding. But God, that was frustrating. What's a financial shock that people often don't see coming? Almost all the random expenses that come with homeownership. New HVAC, new roof, sewer line repair. List goes on. Job loss. Near instant doom spiral. One I saw too often was when the husband dies. The pension stopped. It sucked helping older women find jobs, especially when they had no experience in any job. We had to provide training in soft skills, too, like showing up at an exact time. Family members with poor financial management who have emergencies and no one else to go to. Having a baby with absolutely any health problems. Folks are starting to understand just having a kid is expensive. Birth, daycare, cost of the car seat, etc. But having a diabetic toddler or a child who needs heart surgery is just off the charts. My friends from college had a baby with vision and hearing impairments. It's absolutely upended them financially. It changes who can babysit, who will go to doctor's visits. And pretty much every part of their house has had to change. She's not even school-aged yet. Living too long. It runs out. People who quit a job on the first day. What happened? I worked at Home Bargains and did my first shift on a Saturday. I was off on the Sunday originally, and they waited until 11 p.m. on the Saturday to call me and not ask me but tell me to cover a Sunday. But the conversation went as followed. Hey, we've changed the rota and you're working tomorrow 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I was busy on the Sunday as I had family commitments since I assumed I was free being my day off. Oh, I can't work tomorrow, I have plans. Well, that will go down as an unauthorized absence if you don't turn up. Alright, then I quit. What? Quote. I then hung up and never went back. When I was around 14, I worked for Dickie D Ice Cream. Think Canadian good humor. For one day riding a bicycle, cooler. You were paid a commission based on what you sold. But you had to pay for your dry ice. Long story short, you had to ride that thing all day in blazing heat to make virtually no money. This was in the mid-80s. I hope this is illegal now. Turned out the company was not registered business and has no license to operate. They also threatened us we'd have to pay them an amount if we quit during the 60-day training period. Few months later, they were shut down. I was hired as a cook at a Huddle House. On my first day I learned that they lied about which shifts I'd have in the interview. I'd be expected to basically run the restaurant alone on graveyard shift after only a week of training. And this place was violating health codes left and right. I was working at Zara. They didn't do advertising at the time and instead are very particular about how they set up the store. My last hour was being screamed at by the woman in charge of the store's appearance for not folding clothes fast enough. She was screaming at all of us. Imagine an hour of a woman standing on the top floor alternating between, "Let's go, people," and shouted insults. We finished 15 minutes early, which means we got paid less for doing what the screaming lady wanted. Then we were asked to clock out for a team meeting. We did, and the woman screamed at us so much she drove herself to tears. The woman who hired me apologized on my way out and I told her I wouldn't be back. I didn't even pick up my check. Nor have I ever bought anything from Zara ever again. Even secondhand. I won't do it. I have like a PTSD reaction to that store. I took a phone sales job once. It was cold calling people to sell tickets to a country western show to supposedly benefit the local police department. The foreman had me sit next to someone named Joe and said, "Now you watch Joe for a bit and see how he turns the nose into yes." First call, Joe starts his speech and then slams down the phone and shouts, "Fuck." Quote. Second call is pretty much the same and he instead shouts, "Fucking bitch," while slamming down the phone. This goes on for about 3 more calls and then the manager comes over and says, "Okay. So you see how it's done? Let's get you started." I made about 4 calls and then asked if I could take a smoke break, even though I didn't smoke, and left and never returned. What is some awful and toxic advice that girls tend to give their friends? Thankfully, I haven't heard any of my friends suggest this since like high school. But to flirt with his friends or tell him you have a date with someone else to make him jealous. Mind games are dumb. If you want a guy to be more interested in you, you should ignore him. That will make him pursue you even more. Quote, guys don't want to pursue someone that ignores them. It makes them feel like a creep. If you ignore the guy, he will move on. Don't respond immediately. You'll seem desperate. Just have a normal conversation, lol. If your advice is to make him jealous, don't. He'll stop trusting you. I was once told I should consider the apple diet if I wanted to lose weight. Apparently it involved eating only an apple for at least 2 meals a day. My younger sister, in her early 20s, and her friends hyperfixate on mundane conversations over text and Snapchat. Every single message has to be discussed. The meaning behind what is being said is war-gamed to the nth degree. She comes to me for advice asking, what do I say? What does that mean? And so forth. My advice is always the same. Stop treating dating like a game. Just be honest and direct about your feelings. Stop being two-faced with every interaction. It drives me insane to think that her friends don't see anything wrong with being absolutely psychotic over these types of interactions. Subscribe, my brothers.